Chapter 726. Sid's expression shifted. His attacks had been flicked away so easily, and this opponent of his did not even have a weapon on him. Not only had Wilbur deflected Sid's attack, but he had also managed to get closer to him. That was a clear sign of disrespect. Sid flared up in fury, channeling his spiritual energy as his sword lit up with spiritual flames. "Ghostly Wheel Slayer," he shouted, whipping his sword furiously. Multiple blade shadows in the shape of wheels emerged from the sword, attacking Wilbur in all directions. These blade shadows were forged out of spiritual energy, glowing with runes as they spun through the air and over to Wilbur. Right after the ghostly Wheel Slayer, Sid sent the sword slashing down. "Dynamite Slayer," he shouted again. An array of sword energy shot out towards Wilbur like a shooting star. Wilbur was completely surrounded by countless blade shadows then. This Dynamite Slayer blow was all the more ruthless, channeled using all of Sid's spiritual energy. A meter-long ray of sword energy shot out of his sword, burning brightly with spirit flames before coming down on Wilbur's head at top speed. Rampant spiritual energy whipped through the room. This was Sid's ultimate move, and he was out to take Wilbur's life for good. Wilbur's expression darkened, and his body lit up with spirit flames. The Ghost Wheel Slayer's shadows were crushed upon coming into contact with these flames, turning into rampant spirit energy that drifted into the air. Wilbur had a hand outstretched, reaching out toward the sword energy coming down on him. All at once, the sword energy was crushed by Wilbur with his bare hands. He then leaped up to Sid in one swift move, who paled in the face and grabbed his shorter sword. Wilbur threw a punch at him just as Sid swung the sword against Wilbur's wrist. The loud collision shook the room. The short sword was broken, and Wilbur's punch landed on Sid's abdomen. Sid let out a cry of pain. Flying and crashing through the door, he landed in the common area, blood spraying from his mouth. Wilbur made his way over slowly, staring coldly at Sid. Sid could hardly contain his shock. He was of peak ambience level cultivator himself, but this man had taken him down just like that. It was clear that he had gone easy on Sid too. Wilbur's last blow could very well have killed Sid if he wanted to. "Is there anything else you're unsure of?" Wilbur asked calmly. Sid wiped the blood from his mouth, got to his feet, and turned to leave. "You might be powerful, but I still think the president made the wrong decision." Wilbur stared at Sid's back and smiled. That evening, everyone was gathered in the living room, Sid kneeling in the middle with his head bowed. Yumi was livid. "Why did you challenge Mr. Penn, Sid?" "I just wanted to confirm his strength, Madam President," said Sid. Yumi's expression was ashen. "Well, have you confirmed it then?" "Yes, Mr. Penn is indeed very strong, but my opinion has not changed," Sid said stubbornly. Yumi took a deep breath. "Do you have a better plan then?" Chapter 727. "No," said Sid. Yumi sneered coldly. "You'll keep your mouth shut then. For going against my orders, you shall offer up your life." The crowd was shocked. Sid put his forehead to the ground before straightening up and drawing his sword. Beanie interjected immediately. "Madam President, we need our men more than ever now. Punishing Sid will only weaken our forces further. Please forgive him for now." "Please forgive Sid Gardner, Madam President." The crowd knelt on the ground, begging for Yumi's forgiveness. Yumi said in an icy tone, "He went against my orders and provoked my guest of honor. I see no reason to forgive him." "Please, madam." Beanie fell to her knees, tearing up as she begged on Sid's behalf. Yumi sighed, looking at Wilbur. "You can decide whether or not he is to be forgiven, then. You may punish him as you wish after this is over, sir." Wilbur smiled. Dasha's emperors employed these tactics long before he was even born. "I don't really mind. He works for you. It's your call." Yumi glared at Sid coldly. "I would have snapped your head off your shoulders myself if we weren't in danger now. Get out of my sight. You're on guard duty until I say otherwise." Sid bowed one last time to Yumi quietly, before getting up and heading outside. Just as he reached the door, however, a ray of sword energy broke through the entrance. Sid called out loudly, drawing his sword to meet the attack. Both swords collided with an explosive sound, and Sid stumbled backward into the living room from the impact. The room reeled in shock, standing up in a hurry and drawing their swords as they looked at the door anxiously. Just then, dozens of ninjas CLAs in black charged inside. They blocked the entrance off, all of them holding swords of their own. Following that, a tall, slender man with long hair and a handsome but evil-looking face strode forward. "How dare you break into the space, Cyrus?" Yumi got to her feet, eyeing the figure coldly. Cyrus barked out a laugh, looking around the living room haughtily before he spotted Wilbur. Cyrus shook his head with a sigh. "You've failed, my dear sister. How disappointing of you. Letting someone from Dasha into our family. You've pushed our family to the brink of collapse. You're the embarrassment here," Yumi retorted. Cyrus burst out laughing all of a sudden before saying, "I always thought that it was a shame to the Gardner family letting a woman control the family's business. Let's end this tonight then." At the same time, countless footsteps rang outside. There were people closing in from all directions, surrounding the house completely. Yumi's expression shifted, shouting, "Aren't you afraid that Yaren might do something to you, Cyrus? The hidden division in the family is used to stop inner betrayals." There was no way they could still be neutral about Cyrus's blatant attack against Yumi. "Yaren," Cyrus laughed even harder. "That coward would never dare show his face. You've really lost your mind." Yumi's expression darkened as she shook her head. Cyrus had no respect for anyone or anything anymore, doing whatever he pleased. "You're the crazy one," Cyrus roared. "Letting a pig from Dasha meddle in our family business. You two deserve to die." "What the fuck did you just say?" Wilbur's expression turned murderous. Insulting him was fine, but speaking ill against Dasha was something Wilbur could not tolerate. Cyrus looked at Wilbur, saying the words one by one. "You have no right to speak, or even be standing here, you Dasha pig. Even the blood you shed on my soil will taint it." "Fuck you," Wilbur shouted. He walked up to Cyrus, grabbing at him with a hand lit up with spiritual flames. "You're dead," Cyrus shouted. At the same time, a sword forged out of spiritual energy appeared in his hand as he attacked Wilbur. The house was destroyed by the sword as countless ninjas charged in toward Yumi and the rest.